Hello my friends, how you doing? This is another live episode of, we're going to call this Will TV from now on. What I'm going to do is go back here and just turn this lights off behind me. We've just been cooking, so I've just got that out of the way. So today is 5 steps to overcoming your fears. 5 steps to moving past fear and into action. And what I'm going to do in each of these steps is kind of just highlight some practical tips, but also some personal insights, and really just try and help you guys overcome fear. Because I think fear, at least in my experience as a coach and as a human being, I think fear of failure, of rejection, of loss, of uncertainty, is something that affects all of us. And we wouldn't be human if we didn't feel fear. And I think that's what really binds us, brothers and sisters. We're all in this together, and we're all facing our own battles and our own demons in that way. Let me just turn the camera a little bit to the left. That looks a bit better. So yeah, fear is something that affects all of us. And that's what I want to discuss today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through 5 steps to overcoming fear and moving into freedom. And step number 1, develop an attitude of gratitude. When we come from a place that feels like we don't have enough, like we really are feeling like we live in that kind of, oh, I'll be happy when I have that. I'll be happy when I have this. When we live in that mindset, it's so much easier to be afraid, because we put so much more pressure on needing the ideal partner, on needing the perfect job, on needing our decisions to turn out exactly the way we want them to. Because when we rest our happiness on getting what we want, it's like resting on a Swiss ball. You know, it's wobbly as fuck. We've got no idea what the results of our lives are going to be like. But you know what we can control? Is our attitude today. And it's about cultivating an attitude of gratitude. And you know, really easy way of doing that is just kind of journaling on, let's say, 5 things that you're grateful for having experienced that day. Another cool gratitude practical tip is to text message at least one person a day as to, you know, why you're thankful for them, and be vulnerable, you know, be open to them. And what you'll start to notice as you cultivate more gratitude into your life is your mindset will start to shift. It will not only see more positives in your life and therefore make you feel like you have so much more going on, make your life feel richer, make you feel more fulfilled. But also, when you approach a fear, let's say you want to leave your job, let's say you want to leave your partner, let's say you want to go traveling, let's say you want to make a big decision in your life, you know, move where you're living. I mean, it just doesn't matter what those decisions are, or speak in front of people, or you want to overcome your fear of flying, or, you know, whatever your fear is, doesn't matter what it is. What an attitude of gratitude can do is help you go, what have I got to lose? Because often what we do in life is we hold back so much because we feel as if we have a lot to lose, because so often we've lost touch with that gratitude, and we've lost the humility to go, oh my God, yeah, I really don't have that much to lose. It's like that old expression, I was already naked, you know. So why not just get a bit more naked? That's the first step. Develop an attitude of gratitude, and what it'll do is it'll help you engineer a mindset that says, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. It's a bit like the expression, I was listening to one from Jack Canfield the other day, which was, oh, I'm scared about going after, some person was calling in for his talk show and saying, oh, I'm scared of going after this degree certificate at Harvard University because of, you know, I've got so many commitments and I've got this going on and that going on. And Jack Canfield said, well, you started out without a degree from Harvard. So I'm sure you can deal with not having one if it doesn't turn out for the best. Because if we've come from not having what we want, then we already know kind of how to deal with it. And that's what gratitude does. It just releases this burden. It's like, oh, okay. Fuck it. It's all right to want whatever I want. I'm just gonna go put myself out there. I'm gonna do it. And I'm not gonna get so afraid about the results of what I do, because you know I can't control that. I'm just gonna go do it. And I'm sick and tired of just holding back. And I want you to develop that. I want you to just turn that mindset into, I'm grateful, I'm healthy, I've got a family that love me, I've got everything I need. And you know what? I'm gonna make this decision to do this thing that scares the shit out of me, because you know why? I got nothing to lose. Got nothing to lose. You're already naked, as the old saying goes. I don't know where that old saying comes from, by the way. I think I blatantly made that up, but we're going to throw that out there anyway. If anyone's got any questions during these 5 steps to overcoming fear, please feel free to ask in. I'll be super happy to help out. Just quickly as an aside, my eye is a lot better. I had a thing with my eye on Monday, and that was scary. Bloody hell, having to face my fears. And amazing. It was the most ridiculously painful thing, and then it recovered within like 24 hours. I got some grit in there, and then it just recovered. Like, poof, amazing. What a miracle Mother Nature is. Step number 2 to overcoming your fears and moving into an action-oriented life, getting more freedom in your life, feeling that you're growing as a human being. Step number 2. Get comfortable with the idea of your own death. There's a lovely quote from Gandhi, which is, live as if you'll die today, and learn as if you'll live forever. You know, when you really whittle down our fear of failure, our fear of what people might think, our fear of rejection, of loss, of uncertainty, all these different fears, fear of flying, fear of swimming, fear of public speaking, fear of, you know, being vulnerable with a partner, fear of trying a new sex position. My God, whatever your fear is, I don't know. Whatever our fear may be, if you actually whittle the fear down to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level down, really our fear is the fear of death. And, you know, there's a famous surfer called Jerry Lopez, and he was about to go in the sea. I was watching this surf movie once, and he was about to go in the sea into humongous surf for the first time with a buddy of his who was a big wave surfer. And they're interviewing him on the shoreline, and amongst, you know, beside these ginormous 100-foot waves. And they asked Jerry, they say, Jerry, you know, how are you feeling right now? And he says, it's something like, well, I guess, you know, dying today is as good a day as any other. And that's just that little bit of magic in just not taking ourselves so seriously and taking our lives so seriously, and constantly in this trying to protect our ego about what other people think. And there's just that little magic in that. And then there's another one. I had a client of mine once who was driving back from the hospital with her mum. So anyway, she was driving on the motorway, and her mum had gone through triple heart bypass surgery, like serious surgery on her heart. And so they're driving back along the motorway, and they're listening to the radio, and it's quite somber, it's quite silent, you know, no one's really saying much. And on the radio, a song came on called "A Good Heart These Days Is Hard to Find." I don't know if many of you remember that record. A good heart these days is hard to find. And the two of them burst into laughter. And although that made me really chuckle, it really made me think again of that little bit of magic in not taking ourselves too seriously and just getting comfortable with the idea of our own death. And I'm not telling you that you're not going to feel afraid about that. That's a different thing altogether. What I'm saying is, if we can just be conscious and meditate on that idea that actually, you know what, yeah, I'll be gone one day, it helps us get on the dance floor of life. It helps us get on the dance floor of life and say, you know what, I got nothing to lose. Again, it goes back to that gratitude mindset. If you develop the mindset of, you know what, that, like the Gandhi quote I said, if you imagine that today really could be your last day, it helps you just put your cards out on the table. And it helps you just go, you know what, I'm going to be in the ground one day. So what the fuck have I got to lose? There just is nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose. Pride goes out the window. All those bullshit things that we think are so important, like pride, they're not. They're just the ego. They don't really matter. What matters is that you're growing as a human being. And by the way, don't worry about the results. You know, if you're scared of doing something, just, you know, the amazing thing about overcoming fear is really what it tells your inner psyche. It tells your inner psyche, I'm with you, I care about you, and we've got this. And come rain or shine, you don't know what's going to happen from your results. You might fail, you might be rejected, who knows? It might go wonderfully, but you know what? You're going to grow as a human being because you didn't back down from challenge. If you have challenge in life and then you just think, no, I'm not going to deal with that, I'm going to back down, that is what drops self-esteem, and it closes your spirit. It's like your spirit just shuts down, and then you feel like you're shrinking. And there's an old saying by Wayne Dyer, which is, if a plant's not growing, it's dying. And I don't want to translate that directly to us as human beings because it's a little bit strong, but I think you get kind of what I'm trying to say. If you feel like you're facing challenge and you're overcoming it, then you're going to grow. And that sense of growth is what I want you to taste. My goodness me, my friend, I tell you what, this life is too short to hold it back. Put your cards out on the table, dance the dance, get out there, have some fun, and just start treating life far more lightly by meditating on the idea of your own death and just not taking yourself so seriously. So that's insight number 2, step number 2. I've got a few messages here. Oh, thanks guys, I'm getting some lovely messages here. Awesome, good to see you guys. Really cool. What I'm going to look at some of these messages later on and just keep cracking on for the moment. So, I'm doing good daddy duties today. I'm walking my talk. I'm making sure that I'm doing the video. I said to my wife, I'd be no longer than 20 minutes. I mean, you know, once I get going and I'm inspired, I could talk for hours. But here I am. I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, and we're going to go to step number 3 to overcome fear and into action. Let go of needing it to be perfect. Let go of the perfect result, the perfect start. Because you know what we do in life? We wait and we wait and we wait. Well, I'll wait until I've got that much money, and I'll wait until I've got this, and I'll wait until I've got that. I'll wait until I've got that qualification, and wait until that person's out of my life, and I'll wait until, and then I'll do it. And I, without question, cannot deny that. So there are many occasions in life where actually that's appropriate. If we do genuinely need to hold off until we're ready, then that's a different thing. That's not to do with fear, but most of the time, we just don't want to get our hands messy. You know, when we can let go of the perfect start. I remember when I was doing this for years. I remember I'd watch a Tony Robbins video. It's about 4 years ago. I was watching a Tony Robbins video. I was like, yep, go Tony, take action, massive action. Let's do this. And I was getting really into it, and come on. And then nothing. And then I was like, no, come on. I want to inspire people. I want to write books. I want to help people overcome this, and I want to do that, and I want to just like expand my career, and I want to earn a bit more money, and I want to do these, and then nothing. And this stop, start just happened for years, until one day I walked into work and it dawned on me. I was like, oh my goodness, I'll do this forever until I let go of needing the perfect start. And I'm not saying I let it go straight away, and I'm not saying what I started with was any good. I mean, I started producing content, and I started just writing from the heart, and I just kind of went for it. But most of it was probably quite shit. And when I look back at my first stuff, it makes me cringe a little bit. But do you know what? My God, was it important, because I got my hands messy. I didn't wait for it to be perfect. I kind of, I think what we're doing in life, which is we're trying to learn from the fence so that we can get ready to go into the ring. But we don't really learn what we need to know from the fence, from being on the fence. We only really learn it when we go into the ring. And when we go into the ring, oh my God, that's when we start learning. Oh my God, when we play with our results. If you're sat here watching this, and there's just this one thing, maybe it's two things that you're feeling stuck with, what is the first step? The first small, tiny step that you could make? Like, I mean, just the smallest one. If you're afraid of swimming, could you pick up the phone and book a swimming lesson? Or if you're afraid of public speaking, could you buy a book this evening on Amazon on how to improve public speaking? By the way, great book on that. It's called TED Talks. It's how to speak like TED. Could you, if you're afraid, if you have fear of something going on in your relationship, like a conversation you need to have, could you just go to your partner tonight and say, look, honey, actually, can we just sit down? I want to talk to you about something. What is that first little step that you could take? And then what flows on from there, you'll deal with in the moment. And this is the amazing thing. We just so often think we haven't got what we need to handle being in the ring, of taking action, of getting results, of really going places in life. We feel like we haven't got the resilience to handle that. Like we haven't got the resilience to handle someone say, no, sorry, I don't want your business, or what the fuck are you on about? Or, we think we haven't got, but we need to handle that, but we do. And I'm almost certain that you've proven on hundreds of occasions that you have far more resilience to deal with uncertainty, to deal with failure, to deal with rejection than you think. And if we can't get over the idea of needing our lives to be perfect in order to move forward and move past fear, fear will just keep getting the better of us, and we're going to go nowhere. We got to allow ourselves to get our hands messy. And you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares anywhere near as much about what you do with your life as you think they do. We get so wrapped up in what the world thinks about the decisions that we make, but do you know what? In the end, they're too caught up in their own lives to give a shit. And you know what? They don't care. They just don't care anywhere near as much. You know what you could do? Is you could take action, be way ahead of the curve, and then in years to come be like, oh my God, no one even noticed anyway. That's the thing to remember. Get over the idea of needing a perfect start, a perfect life, a perfect result. You're going to just find yourself taking action, overcoming fear, dealing with the results. And by the way, you have far more resilience to deal with those results than you think. And the only way to really learn in this life is to get comfortable with the idea of failure and getting things a bit wrong and getting things a bit messy and being a bit awkward. Because by the way, we've all got to go through a learning curve. Just allow yourself the room to learn. You don't have to know it all right away. You really don't. So, that's step number 3. Now, we're moving on. Step number 4. It kind of ties back into step number 3, but really what this is if you have a fear of yours and if you think about what there's this thing that you want to do in your life. It's really, really, really what you want to do. And it's also the thing that you're most afraid of doing. Because that's kind of like part of the deal that we signed up to when we came out of our mums and we entered this incredible miracle of life, that when we did that, our lives, almost our destiny, it felt like, or does feel like, is that the things we're most afraid of doing are also the things that we want to do the most. The things we care about doing the most, the things that are going to make us explode into all kinds of incredibleness in spiritual growth and just going amazing different places in our lives and being on a real adventure, is also the very thing that we find the most scary. So just remember that when you take action, not if, but when you take action on this thing that you have been putting off and that you just kind of know deep in your heart will release you, is just keep that in your mind. Is at least you get to feel peace. Because I think that's one of the biggest things human beings are craving in this world. We want to feel freedom and we want to feel peace, but they can only come when we feel like we're growing. And we can only feel like we're growing if we're having fear, but just going, screw it, I'm going to overcome it, I'm going to take action anyway. I want you to taste what it's like to have that freedom. You know what, tonight, here's a little example. Tonight, I was in the garden and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? And is anyone going to listen? And am I good enough? And all these bullshit little things, like our mind, it does it to itself, and I'm just and I'm doing this to my own head. And I'm like, what do you do? This is about other people. Of course, I want to help as many people as I can, but you know what? I can't control that stuff. All I can control is me. And this decision to have challenge in my life, because it is a challenge. Public speaking is. Have challenge, but not let it beat me. By stepping up to challenge and saying, you know what, I've got challenge, but I'm just gonna go anyway. It raises self-esteem. And you know, who knows what people think, and I can't control that. And geez, don't ever try you to control that. You know, just live the life you can live and be the kindest human being you can be, but don't get attached to the results of what other people think. It's that when I just do it anyway, you know, it's my self-esteem and it's my freedom and peace I get to feel. And that's the coolest thing of all. I get to go to bed just being like, you know what, I overcame fear today. And that's a fucking awesome feeling. And I tell you what, it's probably the best feeling of all. Now, we're going to go to the last insight. So this is step number 5 in how to overcome fear and take more action in life. I want you to imagine, if you will, that you're laying on your deathbed at 90 years old. And you've got your family stood around. And I want you on this call, on this exact call, so I'll give you like 20, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Right now, go and grab a piece of paper and a pen. So just go and do that now. I'm going to wait here. I'm just going to wait and I'm going to do some whistling. Do you like whistling? Let's have a look. Not great. Stick to speaking, I think. So you got a pen and paper. Imagine that you're laying on your deathbed. You're 90 years old. You lived a wonderful life. Your family stood around. And you've got 60 seconds to tell them how to live a good life. Write down what you would tell them right now. So set a timer for 60 seconds, for 1 minute, and write down what you would tell them to live a good life, to live a happy life. And you know what? You're going to find stuff in that inside that is going to relate directly to your fears, and it's going to hopefully bring out insight into that area. My friends, this has been wonderful. We've done 25 minutes. My wife's going to be super happy because I normally go into 30, 40 minutes. I'm going to get into the bath with my young baby. Enjoy that. I will look at comments later on and I will reply to them all, I promise. My friends, I love you. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye for now. Lots of love.